Welcome to the Australian Business Show, where we challenge conventions and dive deep into the minds shaping the future of business. Today, I'm thrilled to have Justine Campbell, a dynamic coach known for blending personal authenticity with powerful business strategy. Justine's approach disrupts traditional coaching norms by embracing vulnerability and tapping into energy beyond the conventional. Together, we'll explore fresh perspectives that go beyond standard questions and reveal new dimensions of entrepreneurship and coaching for today's world. Let's get started. Hey, Justine, welcome.
Hi, Nick.
Great
to be here.
Last minute.
Verylastminute.com.
Yeah.
But just in time, Justine.
No less important, I must say. Thanks for
me.
stepping in. We had a couple of people ring in sick today, so you were on my list to come in, and now you just got bumped up the list, which is great.
It's the way the universe works, right?
Yeah, 100%. So tell us and tell the listeners a little bit more. We were just speaking off camera a bit about what you do and how you arrived there. You know, you've built and scaled multiple businesses, lived in eight different countries?
8 countries.
8 countries. And for some reason came back to wonderful Australia just to pay tax, was it? Or
That was on the negatives.
Yeah.
On the pluses and minuses of moving back, that was one of the negatives.
Yeah.
So my background is quite unusual. And I started out in marketing, business, spent a decade in Japan working for BMW, the only female manager working for the company in BMW, and the youngest, and then decided that I wanted to come back to Australia, came back, and it was only later in life, didn't stay in Australia long for then, got married and then went back offshore again. And it was only later in life that I moved into psychology, and now what I do is, yes, I'm a clinical therapist by training, but I bridge that world of global business with psychology, and specifically I work with female founders.
So this is why I wanted to get you on, because I think that there's such a mindset and psychological factor that influences our ability to grow in business, to build and grow businesses of scale. And I'm a big believer that just about anybody can build a good business and make good money just by working hard. But if you're going to build a significant business that has significant impact, that's something a little bit different. And there's a bit of a journey to go on to get there, right?
It's interesting you say, so anybody could build a business if they work hard.
I think what I mean by that is I think you can scale to a size where you can earn good money by just working hard. You know, but there's only so many hours in the day, and then you have to start to understand a bit more of the psychology, if you like, about yourself, about staff, about your buying, your customers, the market, to be able to actually move beyond just being a solopreneur.
You know, and define hard, because that's sort of the message that I, growing up was fed by my grandma, who was an entrepreneur, had a fruit shop at Bondi Beach, and then my father was an entrepreneur, my mother was an entrepreneur, and it was that belief that if you work hard, then you can build a good business. But a good business is not necessarily everything. And I think, I was having a conversation last night with Sam Smith, who built and sold an investment bank in the UK, and has co-founded a new community, a new business called Superscalers, specifically for female founders. And it's looking at female founders at the lower end at £2 million, and then upwards from 20 million to 100 million pounds. And we were talking about exactly this, like what is it, the difference between someone who can just build a good business, and let's say a good business, a good income, let's say $1 million, right? $1 million. Okay, if I've earned 7 figures, $1 million, it's a good business, yeah? But really, is that enough? And we were talking about what is it that actually, the common traits of someone that is actually able to scale, yeah? And mindset is a really, really big one. If you think about, for me growing up, as I think about founders and female founders in particular I think of someone like Sarah Blakely and what she did with Spanx, right? And she was knocked back so many times. This is ridiculous. That idea is never going to work. Do you know what Spanx are? Mm-hmm. Kind of like the lycra shorts that you wear. Spanx, right? This will never work. But she had unwavering self-belief. Her mindset was, I know what I'm doing and why I'm doing it and who I'm serving. And she trusted herself to keep pushing through all of that. That was mindset. Anita Roddick, that founded The Body Shop, she had a very clear vision to do body care with a purpose, right? Very, very clear. So and recently, I stayed at the Rosewood Hotel in Hong Kong, and the woman who took over this and has built this was very clear about what it is that she was doing. It wasn't just a hotel, a place for you to sleep. It was about exceptional service, ensuring that every single person that walked through those doors felt seen, right? Now, these people, there are common traits between people who can actually do it and build a business that is better than just okay, a good business, to a business that is truly exceptional, that is continuing to flourish.
Assuming that's what you want to do.
Yeah. And
right? Because it might be that somebody goes, you know what, this is what satisfies me. I'm okay here. This is all I want. I guess that's the thing for me, is that once you make that decision to push past a certain level, there's that saying of, you would have heard the saying, you're either growing or you're dying. I don't know if I understand it from a business sense, but from a personal sense, no. I guess it's still the same. You still have to continue to grow in yourself. But if somebody goes, but in terms of what's important to me, what are my priorities? I attended a funeral yesterday, which was quite caused me to think a little bit about, well, gee, what's really important here? As you see the photos scroll through, and you go, well, what do I want to miss out on? What's the cost? What am I prepared to sacrifice? Because you can't have everything all at once.
It's a really important point that you raised there in terms of the legacy. It's what do you want people to say when you're no longer in the room?
Yeah.
Right? I don't know if your wife, Melissa, told you about the story. We were in Japan in the countryside, and there was this little soba restaurant, and someone had recommended it. So we turned up and we went to this soba restaurant, and lunchtime we got there early, and they said, here's a buzzer, a pager, and you'll just have to wait. And we were like, well, how long is the wait going to be? We don't know, right? And we went away and we had this pager, and we saw other cars and people are waiting in the cars, and we were like, how long have you been waiting? Or an hour, 2 hours. Anyway, after 3 hours of waiting for this soba, we finally got into this restaurant. And there was only one other table, couple that were in there, and us. And Melissa and I both sat down. We sort of sat there and we looked at the numbers. We looked at the menu. Each bowl of noodles was maybe $15, Australian dollars. And we looked at it, was a husband and wife running it. And we were like, but they could do so much more. If they got more efficient with their systems. Yeah. And so Melissa and I were going into super scaling. How do we super scale this? This is not efficient. But that was our value system. That was our priorities. And as you said, perhaps that was not what they wanted. And they're living a perfectly happy life. Not everybody was born to build a business of that scale. That's not everybody's vision. And that's okay.
And those of us that do, I'm kind of interested in the psychology as to why. What drives you to want to do that? Is it ego?
Well, that's where I was going to go on that. It's like ego has no place at the table because if it's ego that's driving you to build that business, eventually you're going to implode.
Yeah.
So ego alone is not something that's going to drive you. Eventually it will come through the cracks because it's like you're looking to the business to give you fulfillment as to who you are. So like in the Japanese language, when you introduce yourself in Japanese, so I worked for BMW, so the way I would introduce myself was, 私は BMW のコーリです or BMW の課長のコーリです which essentially says, I am BMW, I am manager, and I am Corey, which was my maiden name, right? Your company comes first, then the position you hold within that company comes next, and then your name. Whereas in the English language, it would be, I am Justine, I'm a senior manager at BMW.
Yes.
You see what I mean?
Entirely
right?
reversed.
Completely different. So your value comes from that name, that business that you are standing alongside. And what happens in the Japanese culture, which is really quite sad, is people pour everything into their business and it comes to retirement age and they've put nothing into outside of the business and they actually don't know what it is that brings them joy. I was listening to, I can't remember his name, but he was the founder of Bondi Sands, and he came in to speak about how he built Bondi Sands and how he exited. And me being me, of course, I was curious about the mindset, right? And because he talked about, it comes through when you're talking to a founder, an entrepreneur who's lived and breathed and built a business, their drivers come through very clearly when you hear them speak, okay? And so for this founder, I could tell that for him it was all about connection, his people. He was very much driven by the people. And what he built within Bondi Sands was this incredible community, right? Where the rate of turnover, its staff turnover, was just so low, which is unheard of particularly in an industry like that. And it was all because of how he, from the top down, made people feel that they were family, that they were connected, they were part of community. And so when he finished speaking about his journey and opened it up to questions, I asked him, I said, so this season of your life now, what's it called and how are you feeling about it? Because he had exited and no longer had that community that I could tell was so important to him. What's next? What's this next chapter for you? And he struggled with that. I could hear it in his voice. It's like, well...
Yeah. I do. It's not a business I've followed. I know it. Of course, I know the brand, which is an amazing story in and of itself. But I do wonder, you talk about family, and I've heard this from different advisors over the years too, that we used to do the same thing, especially when we were small. We talk about the HLS family. And then we cottoned onto an idea, or whether we were led to an idea of, well, no, family makes allowance for each other. In business, it's about a team and a high-performing team. And so we started to pivot away. I hate that word because we all use it now too much. It's overused. But we started to move away from calling it the HLS family for that reason, to say, well, no, because family is about making allowance and there's no room for that in business. Now, it wasn't necessarily something I fully, but I understood the concept behind what they were trying to say, and that is that, no, you've got to move beyond that, and you now need to be a high-performing team, not a family, which is kind of interesting because I've got a lot of family that works in our businesses.
Yeah. I think it's a family is a system and a team is a system. And if you think about what are the objectives of the family system versus what are objectives of the team system, there's different objectives, right? So we've got to be clear about that. But calling your team family used to be, we commonly heard that, and particularly in small business, they're like family. And
exactly.
And unfortunately, and this is why they say, like, doing business with family, tread carefully. Tread very, very carefully with that. But I think when we look at a team, a system, ultimately, and it doesn't matter who you are, we want to be seen. And that includes a family, that includes a team, a department, a business. We all want to be seen. And when we talk about being seen, that means to know that you matter, to know that you are valued, to know that you are heard. Okay? And when somebody feels valued, feels seen, feels heard, whether that's a family or in business, then, that provides that secure base, that netting, if you will, that safety to lean into growth, that's where you lean into that high-performing team.
Yeah, I like that. And it probably leads me, I mean, I made a number of different questions here, which we're not going to go through all of them, but it just reminded me of one here that I kind of liked, if I do say so myself, give it, but if you were to create a business alchemy, so a formula, because this is kind of what you were touching on, that mixes emotional authenticity with hard results, what would the key ingredients be?
Emotional authenticity with key results, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I really love this framework that was developed by Barry Mason in the UK, and it's called Safe Uncertainty. It was designed for family systems, but I've translated it into individuals. And I like to think of it as imagine you are walking on a tightrope, and you walk out and you look down at this tightrope, and then you look down and there's no net. And if there's no net, how would you feel? Would you feel okay to walk out on that
Hell
tightrope?
no.
Hell no, right? And what if you walked out and you saw massive holes in that net? How would you feel?
Yeah, I'm staying feet
planted
on terra firma.
Right?
Yeah.
But what if there was a net there? How would you feel?
Yeah, probably still not, but yes, I would at least be going, okay. Yeah.
And that's the physics of vulnerability, of uncertainty. When you put yourself out there, the more you do it, the more you're going to fall. But as long as you've got a secure base. So I think if we're thinking of a formula, this concept of a secure base, of safe uncertainty. Uncertainty is the only certainty in this life. But when we have that safety underneath, that secure base, then we feel more comfortable to lean into the uncertainty. So safe uncertainty is where creativity is, where entrepreneurship is, where growth, that's where that lives. Not safe certainty, vanilla.
It's an interesting concept because, and you're a coach, and so many coaches, mentors I hear, they talk about failure, and they say, well, you've got to learn to fail faster and fail more often. And based on what you're just saying there, though, I think that's oversimplifying it and actually could be quite dangerous. Because if you don't have the safety net, like you've just spoken about, it's like, oh, well, they said just throw caution to the wind. I've got to fail faster. But it could be a catastrophic failure. And if you don't have the safety net, couldn't it?
And let me explain what the safety net is, because people think, oh, is it like the backup? Is it that I've got to have the finances? Is it like, what is it? When I talk about a safety net, I'm talking about awareness of yourself, awareness of your strengths, awareness of your limitations, awareness of your ego, awareness of your values, awareness of your priorities, knowing who is truly in your supporters section, right? And that includes yourself, self-trust, all of those things. That's your secure base, because if you've got that and you fall, that's going to get you back up again.
Because nobody can take that away.
Nobody can take that away. That's on you. And that's on you to build it. And when you think about the incredible entrepreneurs, sporting legends, that have done amazing things, it wasn't that, were they not afraid to fail? It was that they had this. I don't know if I ever told you that. Have you heard of John Simon?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Aussie,
So that
Aussie John.
Aussie John at
Yeah.
Aussie will save you.
Yeah.
That's my cousin.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. He just took
And-
his property off the market because he couldn't get the price he wanted. Yeah.
It's a beautiful property.
Yeah. I didn't know he was your cousin.
Yeah, yeah. And John's story, John, rock bottom. He'd fallen, absolutely fallen. But if you read his book, I don't know if it's still in print, but it talks about his story, that he had this belief, unwavering belief in himself and, his values of wanting to ensure that his family, his wife, his 2 children were okay. So he wasn't going to sit down there and say, as your wife says, a tissue for my issue. It was like, I got to get myself back up there.
Mm.
This is what I stand for.
How old was he then?
Oh, gosh.
Roughly.
40s, late 30s,
Okay.
because his kids were young.
Yeah.
Late 30s.
So not old, but not young. Like not
Not old, not young.
Yeah, like not 25, 30.
You
where
couldn't
he goes,
just roll over and say, oh, boo-hoo,
Yeah.
poor me.
Yeah.
No. I'm going to get out there. I'm going to challenge the banks. I'm going to do things differently. I'm going to get that wave is about to go up and I'm going to be riding it. There you go.
So he didn't just save everyone else, he saved himself.
At Aussie.
Aussie.
I'll save me.
Yeah.
I don't quite do the accent very well.
I'm just glad that you got my joke.
I know you now, Nick.
Yeah. So AI, do we go there? I guess we do because it's such a prominent thing. We touched on this before, but everybody's talking AI, of course, and with good reason. My personal belief on AI is that it's we've had our .com bubble, we've had crypto, we've had the internet. This is going to change the world. It is already. But then we talk about human interaction and what about coaching? So if you think about what the mind perceives, the mind believes, so I wonder whether, and just talking to the guys off camera before, that we talk about social interaction. Now, other than the touch and feel of warm skin, so many of us now do these podcasts online or meetings online, and so there's no touch feel in that. It's somebody on a screen. If my mind does not even know or recognize that that's not a real person, then all of a sudden we're in a place where people are getting social interaction, coaching from AI, and yet the mind doesn't necessarily know that that's, even if you know consciously, subconsciously, there's something else going to go on there, and I wonder where that goes. And so I'd be interested to hear, have you looked at this in terms of what you do in AI, and are you using it, and where do you see it going?
Great question. It's the number one usage of ChatGPT. Do you know what it is?
No.
Therapy.
Coaching. Yeah.
Number one use.
Yep.
People name their ChatGPT.
Yep.
I don't have a name for mine. Yep. They name it. And I do believe that AI, there are so many benefits to it. Do I use it? Absolutely. Do I recommend it? Absolutely. But it's only as good as what you put in. Okay, and there's a limitation to it. What AI can't do is it can't replace stories. It doesn't have stories of its own. It has stories that have been driven from elsewhere.
But it can assume personas and so it could tell you a story, as in it was the first person recount of that story, though.
It could, but it can't replace this human reaction.
Yeah.
It can't see absolutely everything that's going on.
Yep.
When I'm working with someone and I know them incredibly well and I can relate a personal story of mine or of another client that truly connects with them, it can't replace that. And so as AI goes higher and higher and is more and more prevalent, what I'm seeing is disconnection. People are becoming more and more disconnected unless they're proactively doing something to ensure they connect with others. We are wired for human connection. to sit down. You know, our kids' generation, not more yours. You got started earlier than I did. But like my kids, and actually your adult kids, the phone. They to sit at a dinner table. It's like it's right there. I said, who are you talking to? So, you know, we go to dinner and it's like, put the phones away. I want to talk to the person. Tell me about your day.
Yeah, but how many times do you go to a restaurant and you look at the table next to you and the two kids have got an iPad in front of them and the mum and dad are sitting there on their phone? Because you're hyper aware of these things.
Oh, I was in Japan and I was at it was a yakitori bar. And I was sitting there with a friend catching up. And so it's a long table like this. And the chef was doing this amazing yakitori. And this couple was sitting next to me with a iPhone and a AirPod each in the ear and watching this anime or something. And because I am a curious person, I watched and I thought, really? You've got nothing to say to each other and you're watching this anime and you're in this incredible restaurant and this master of yakitori is doing these amazing things and you're missing life. And I couldn't help myself. At the end, I turned around in a very polite way and I asked them, I wanted to know what their story was. And they said, we both love this anime. We come, Japanese couple, husband and wife, we both love this anime and the kids are at home and we're coming out for this night and this is the way that we connect. But what happened after it was like a circuit breaker for them.
Yeah.
We then started talking about connection and the conversation went from there. They turned it off then and they then started talking with each other.
Yeah. And was that a conscious or subconscious?
It was conscious
response?
Because I broke the subconscious
Yeah.
in them by interrupting the flow.
So they've sat there subconsciously saying, or even consciously, I guess, but then maybe it becomes just rote for them. But they said, but this is how we connect and that's okay. So they tell themselves that this is okay.
Yeah.
Only when somebody said to them, hey, tell me about that.
Yeah.
Did it prompt them to actually think? Because they hadn't maybe put that much thought into it other than to tell themselves, no, this is okay. This is us connecting.
Yeah. But it's like why I don't know if you do this, but like I often will send little reels or skits or articles to men and women in my community, thought of you or ha or whatever. And when I do this, it's actually a bid for connection. So I'm using that reel or that post as a bid for connection.
Yeah.
Right? I commented on one of your posts that you wrote about your upcoming book. And of course my brain went to, I wonder, AI and in healthcare, what about AI in psychology and mental health? And so I asked you a question and that was a bid for connection back to you. And then the conversation, which we will continue around that. Do you see what I mean?
Yep.
AI is a tool, but it still can't replace human connection, but it can certainly enhance connection.
Yeah, I don't think it can. I think it will in a lot of places. Not that it will do. It will be a poor substitute. I think of horrible movie, but
Megan?
Seven.
Oh,
Seven
okay,
with Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
But there was a guy, one of the the 7 deadly sins, and I can't remember. Maybe it was gluttony or anyway. This guy just lived in his room alone, watching whatever on the internet and movies, and had food delivered, and that's the world we live in almost. It's because most people, I shouldn't say most people, many people will just succumb to the dopamine hit and just become that person that sits and watches or plays games and gets food delivered. And I just think
what happens when they do that is, as they're disconnecting from the real world, they're disconnecting from themselves.
Yes.
It's the number one thing when I was doing traditional psychology, that I would look, if someone came in and was struggling, the first area I would look at is their connection. Is their connection to others and their connection to themselves, their relationships.
And what about connection to nature?
Oh, look, it's there's I'm just trying to think of the word for it in Japanese. Ki. It translates as tree hugging, like literally tree hugging, and this concept of getting back into nature to ground yourself. Huge thing for mental health.
Yeah.
To reground, to walk on grass, take your shoes off and walk on grass. When you look at nature, when you look at like the wonder, it's like why I love mornings, the possibilities. Like it's pretty incredible, right? It really is pretty incredible.
Yeah, and
people are so busy going through life, and this is where the Japanese do this so well. Everything that they do well, and they appreciate, and it's taught from a very young age that, each of us, each citizen has a part in making our country beautiful. So you don't see litter thrown around, on the streets. They take care of it. You go out, you eat something, you actually take your garbage home with you. There's a lot of restaurants in Hokkaido in particular where I love to go. It's all about bringing nature in. So the dishes are designed around complementing nature.
Have you done much looking into, talk about work-life balance, work-life blend. You've lived and worked in 8 other countries. How does Australia compare? And do you see the impact of that? Is it different? So my position on it is that we work long hours in Australia. We work hard. Some other cultures seem to have a better, I don't care whether you use the word balance or blend, but it means the same thing. But what's your observation between other countries that you've lived and worked in, and you still coach people in other countries too, right?
I probably 80% of my clientele is outside of Australia.
Yeah, by design or just?
That's just because I've lived abroad for decades, and people that come to me have a global outlook, and I get them.
Yep.
That's all.
Yep.
And I don't really market myself in Australia so much. But
so what's your position on work-life blend, work-life balance?
I don't like the word work-life balance because it's like, I think it's a pendulum, and it goes up and down, and so it's finding that rhythm for yourself. And when you say we work longer hours in Australia, I don't think we're working smart. Yeah. I think there's a lot of wasted time. In Japan, when I was there through the bubble, so this is through the 90s, I was there. The rule was that you couldn't leave the office before your superior. It was ridiculous. You'd see people sitting there just twiddling their thumbs and making themselves look like they were doing something, but just because of the way it was seen, you couldn't leave, right? That's just the way it worked. So, I think it's about what I see in my observations of entrepreneurs, and particularly women, what I see is the hustle, right? And they're in that masculine energy, and they think if I just work more, I'll get there, right? And they lose themselves in the process. They'll put everything into the business, and they don't actually see the value in investing in themselves. And when you invest in yourself, personally, you should be seeing the returns coming into your business. And I don't see enough of that. People ask me, why are you up at 5:30 and going and doing red light and Pilates at 5:30? It actually supports me in living the life that I've designed and getting the most out of my life. It's a life by design, a life by intention. So I think we need to get more intentional, more like owning, what it is that we want to create. And I think the Scandinavians do it very well.
Yeah.
I think the Danish, the Swedish do it very well. But that's also coming from the top down in terms of what the government has set up to support this. You know, they've got like in Denmark these communal sort of communities of families, small families or single parent families living together in a community where they're supporting each other so that people can do what they do in their businesses, you know, in the jobs that they have. We don't have that structure here in Australia. We don't have affordable childcare in Australia. When I was in Hong Kong and building my clinic, I mean, I had a business that well exceeded the $1 million mark, and I could do that because I had supports at home. But even here in Australia, I pay to have help. It doesn't make me a better mother just because I don't clean my toilets and I don't cook every single meal, right? But people don't here. They're hustling, they're scrambling. It's like, I wonder what that would look like if you actually just outsourced that and you got a cleaner in twice a week or somebody to help cook meals. What time would that free up? And how would you then, by design, with intention, use that time to support you? And what results would you then see?
I don't know that they would. AI is an example of that, right? And not that specifically, but what I'm about to say, and that is that AI, we talk about the leverage that we will get out of it. But people talk about how fast life ticks by. And I'm convinced it's because we keep cramming more and more into it. AI is going to be the same. We're going to create some leverage, sure, but we're going to fill that gap with...
What's that, mobile phones?
Yeah.
Mobile phones. Yeah. My dad had one of those first ones, you know, the big briefcases, the big things. I think they were like thousands of dollars for those first phones, right? And now look at it. We can't go anywhere.
No, it feels weird to get up and walk anywhere in the house without it.
And so what we've done is that we've filled it. We've filled it. But the power is in the pause, Nick.
Yeah.
It's when you pause, and it doesn't need to be for too long. It's when you pause that you're able to then intentionally choose how you wish to move forward.
And so you said something before then, and that I want to bring that back to in your coaching. It's like the ROI of that investment in yourself. As an entrepreneur, as a business person, there should be an ROI in your business as much as in your own self. But like it's an investment, and there's a reason to do it more than just to unplug, but also actually you'll be a better version of yourself to be able to perform better.
But you are then the business. Who you are is how you live, is how you love, and is how you lead. So when we look at founders that are wanting to scale their business and seek funding, right? And if VCs are coming in to look at the business, they're looking at the founder. Where are you at? Psychologically, how stable are you? Can we back you?
We count on you, yeah.
Right? Have you got your shit together? Can I say that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Have you got your shit together? Because if you haven't, that is going to leak through the cracks. So you've got to work on that first, then we invest in you. So I when I talk about my work, you know, if it's therapy or coaching, if I say personal coaching, people won't invest in that, but they'll invest in business coaching. It's really interesting. It's like, well, it's all one and the same from my perspective.
Do you see a shift in that though? Do you think in the earlier days of somebody's entrepreneurial journey and building a business, they go, I've got to invest in business coaching. But do they get to a point where they go, maybe not everybody, it's a self-awareness thing. Maybe some people do, some don't. They go, I really need to work on myself. Actually, there's something missing, or I've missed developing myself. I've worked so hard on that business. Do you see a shift in that?
Yeah, but it's like define coaching. You know, the problem with the coaching industry is it's not regulated. You know, anyone can call themselves a coach.
Well, everybody does.
I'm a life coach at all of,
I'm sick of it.
20-something, you're a life coach.
Yeah.
Like, So, I often say, if you're looking for a coach or you're looking for a therapist, ask that therapist or ask that coach, are they getting ongoing coaching? Are they doing therapy themselves? I still go for regular therapy sessions, and I have always had a coach.
Yeah.
Always.
Focusing on you as a person or your business or both? Or all of the above?
It's across the board. Because
do you have multiple?
I have one at a time because it depends. I've had multiples. I've been parts of masterminds as well as had personal coaching. But you don't want to get into the trap of spaghetti at the on the wall. Yeah. And I'm just going to
the old spray and pray.
Exactly, right? No. So, but I've been very intentional about who I work with at what time in my life. What am I needing at a specific time in my life? But yeah, I've always had that there because I'm constantly we're constantly growing. I don't have all the answers, and I never will have all of the answers. Nor will ChatGPT have all of the answers for me.
Because if you're not growing, you're dying.
Well, I believe that knowledge is power, and I'm energized by learning and growth. But that's me. That's you, right? That's our value system. Not everybody has that focus.
And that's okay.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Think of the sober shop owners. They were perfectly happy with what they had. We did the whole spreadsheet. We had all the numbers. We worked it out, how much they owned their home. Like, I asked them questions I wanted to know. Like, what are your overheads? Like, how much does it cost for your
all of a sudden you got pushed up the line. They're like, here, just take it and get out.
They didn't need my business coaching.
What are you going to tell them?
Not my target audience.
No. Women in business. I think obviously you spoke a little bit about that. That's really your jam, is female entrepreneurs. There's a huge movement and has been coming for a little while. And actually, I think you and I tic-tacked on one of your posts about this. And, I have a strong feeling about people. I don't care whether you're male, female or otherwise. It should be the best person for the job. And I think that we've got to stop trying to push females into a male mould or males into a female mould and celebrate the fact that actually you are good at things as a female that men are not, and men are good at things that women are not. And that's not good or bad, it's just different. And and this is where Melissa and my success has come from, because she has strengths that I don't and I have strengths that she doesn't. And together we're better than either of us are. The sum of our parts. So
exactly.
So why women entrepreneurs then do you focus on? I'm not criticising that. I'm just interested. And how do you find women entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs, as compared to male entrepreneurs? And we spoke a little bit about just self-presence and self-awareness before off camera, and that was a man entrepreneur especially, or super successful, will walk into a room and be quite large in terms of his presence. Sit there.
Look, I think, and I work with men and women in a one-on-one setting. The men that typically come to work with me, they come to work with me because I'm a woman, and I'm a woman that's going to call them on their shit, that is going to challenge their ego. And quite often it is the ego in the man that is getting in the way. And particularly when they've reached a certain level of success in their life, people aren't necessarily telling them what they really need to hear. And do
you think that's come from a history of men have got to be originally? Yeah. The bravado, the breadwinner, the super successful, have the sports car, Yep. And the women historically, again, it's about the family, the household and those sorts of things. And so men measure themselves by how successful they have been in their job or in their business.
But that's the messaging that they've been sold.
Yeah,
that's
indoctrinated.
The messaging. And I get men that come in and they're tired.
Yeah.
They're tired of holding it all. They're
mask.
tired of always having to be in their masculine energy of just go, 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 of hustling.
Yeah.
Men are desperate, just like women, of safe spaces where they can really just lay it out as to what's going on. Now, I have these conversations behind closed doors, one-on-one with men, but there is so much power in the collective. So to create a safe space for men to drop the bravado, to leave the ego at the door and really have these real conversations, and I am working on that, Nick, on the side, right? That's something that...
Yeah, I know. I've been talking to Mel about it. I know she mentioned something to you.
There's a need, and I do have somebody that I could potentially do this with. So I think, ego and the difference with men and women, it's like, we're way behind the game here when you think about female founders. You guys, men, there's so many that came before you, right, that we can reference. So the playbook, understandably, was written by men because it was pretty much men. That's all there was, because the women were in the traditional caretaking roles. Things have shifted. And so there is now, we're seeing this new wave of female entrepreneurs in the world that are doing incredible things. But where I see them slip up is they're trying to play by the men's playbook. And that doesn't work for us. It's like we are innately different. And when we try to, like when I was in Japan working in the automotive industry, male-dominated country, and I tried to hide my femininity. I tried to hide my foreignness. I tried to hide my youngness. But it's who I was, and it's when I step into that power to embrace all of that, the feminine energy, the masculine energy, that's when things shift. And so these women entrepreneurs that the female founders now that are doing incredible things, that have super scale businesses to 100 million plus, we can learn from each of them. And so to bring those together is where the shift starts to happen, and that we write a playbook that is not better, but it's a playbook that aligns for us as women.
And therefore it's better for women, right?
And it's better for men as a collective 100%. Together.
It goes back to my original point.
The sum of our parts.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's not man shame. It's not, we are better together, but we need to work to our strengths.
Do you think society's there yet? Right.
Do you?
No. But I think it's we have this pendulum effect, right? So we swing too far the other way. Okay. And I think men now are scared. They don't know what to be anymore. Right? You can't be a man, you can be a woman these days if you want to be, but you can't be too masculine. You can't be too this, you can't be too that as a man. And so men are like, well, but who am I and what am I? Yeah. And that's why I've started talking to Melissa and said to you, it's like, because these are the thoughts that go through my head all the time. You go, well, I can't say that. Can't say that. Can't,
it's like this. But men, though, the difference between men and women in terms of like being firm, being clear, having those boundaries, right? If a man does that, you've got this, the sort of space between the too much and too little is much broader than women. For women, if we're firm, if we're this, we're that, we're seen as too difficult. And this is old programming, old messages, to be the good girl and to keep the peace, to not rock the boat, right? What we need to do is to actually broaden that middle space. And how we do that is having conversations. And conversations not from a place of you're right and you're wrong and I'm right, but really help me understand. Help me understand your perspective. I'm curious. That's not the way I've seen things. I'd really love, your thoughts on this. Mm. But you can't have those conversations if you're coming from a place of judgment, of right or wrong. It's leaning in to have those real conversations to say, well, what do you bring to the table? What do I bring to the table? And how do we then navigate together?
Yeah. And when you're confident in that, then you can be vulnerable enough to say, well, but you have a skill set I don't have. And I have some that you don't. And if you can be vulnerable enough to that, then you can capitalize on it. If you're fearful of that, then you never really get to see the true power of it.
But if you're fearful, you're not owning it.
Yeah.
And what message is that then sending to you that's supporting you in building that secure base?
What are the three things then for the people that are super scaling businesses, and just to use the vernacular, I guess, that you have a little bit? And
thank you, Sam Smith, for
that. Yeah, thank you, Sam Smith. Then what are the common traits that you're seeing from a mindset point of view that are serving these people to be able to go and do what they do?
Self-leadership. That's knowing themselves, trusting themselves. That's a huge one. And clarity of their why. You know, in Simon Sinek's words, why? Why are they doing it? Who are they serving?
I love Simon Sinek.
Oh, yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
Why are they doing it, and who are they serving, and being really clear on that. Like, why are you doing it? Why? What's driving you? And who is it ultimately that you're serving? But clarity, alignment, self-leadership.
Yeah, I love it. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me, Nick.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
We'll do it again.
Okay.
All right. See ya.
Thanks.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Share it with others who are passionate about healthcare and business. Stay tuned for more incredible stories and insights in our next episode. Until then, keep pushing boundaries.
Thanks for tuning into the Australian Business Show. If you found value in today's episode, be sure to rate and review us on your favourite podcast platform. Hit that subscribe button and stay connected with us for more groundbreaking stories, actionable insights, and game-changing tactics designed to fuel your business growth.